people who live in the inner city, drug money is a commodity in which it props up the whole black economy, from the small stores, from grandma getting her tennis shoes, not directly, but everybody's indirectly part of the drug trade, whether they know it or not. But that props up the black community, seriously, because and it's because there's no other industry. All of those in those areas, the jobs moved. In Detroit, they used to make cars. Then with capitalism and finance capitalism, those jobs disappear and everything. And then after that left, the black kids were doing small things like pickpocketing and stealing. Then the American government said, hey, we can make money off these black kids. We can produce a labor market for them, drug sales. If you took away the cartel business, there would be black people would finally have a revolution because they would have to starve to death in America. Cocaine is bad because it causes violence and stuff. But what else do you want these guys to do when there's no other business opportunity? And the government is actually creating the drug jobs.
Those are all facts. I mean, it's amazing how as you kind of illustrate the systematic intention, the whole structure of it mirrors so much of what's going on in South Africa right now.
Oh yeah.
Right. So much of South Africa has really become so dependent on this small cartels of drug dealers who set up in local communities, and they now extorting entrepreneurs, and it's a whole system designed to reinforce.
That's how America works. No, what is that? Yeah, I don't think I've heard that.
Yeah, I think you know. Exactly. I know fellow knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, you heard straight up. And how it's related to drugs, because
we call them trap houses here or something like that.
So Ipara is like the slang term, for the cats in the corner who most of them are either doing mandrax or crystal meth. And,
I've seen it. I saw it. Bridgetown in Joburg. Bridgetown.
You remember that video you showed me of Philadelphia and people in the streets?
Yeah, riding horses. It's the same everywhere. They have that in Joburg too.
Point.
Yeah, I've started recording, but we'll keep talking. I've told people, like, for example, I'm black, but I live in the middle class areas of America. People who live in the inner city, drug money is a commodity in which it props up the whole black economy, from the small stores, from grandma getting her tennis shoes, not directly, but everybody's indirectly part of the drug trade, whether they know it or not. And then you have some other guys who just sell weed, and even some guys, they'll go and sell cocaine at drug parties. They're not really dealers. It's the big boys who are connected to the cartel who say, okay, here you take 5 or 6 packs, just sell it when you go to the party. So they're sort of like indirect. They're not really gang members, they're like associates. But that props up the black community, seriously, because and it's because there's no other industry. All of those in those areas, the jobs moved. In Detroit, they used to make cars. Then with capitalism and finance capitalism, those jobs disappear and everything. And the black kids, and then after that left, the black kids were doing small things like pickpocketing and stealing. Then the American government said, hey, we can make money off these black kids. We can produce a labor market for them, drug sales. Then they bring in gangster rap, everything to reinforce it. So if you took away the cartel business, there would be black people would finally have a revolution because they would have to starve to death in America, because that's the only source. That's why when I hear people, I say, I'm not per se, cocaine is bad because it causes violence and stuff, but what else do you want these guys to do when there's no other business opportunities? And the government is actually creating the drug jobs.
You know who said that?
Steve talked about it. Steve talked about Reagan. Reagan brought in tons and tons of cocaine and sold weapons, gave American weapons, and the CIA created a distribution system. Like all those guys, who's the guy that disappeared? Smalls. All those guys that disappeared, they became billionaires because they were recruited by the CIA to sell drugs. And what are your thoughts of V-Way?
No, that's those are all facts. I mean, it's amazing how as you kind of illustrate the systematic intention, the whole structure of it mirrors so much of what's going on in South Africa right now. Right. So much of South Africa has really become so dependent on this small cartels of drug dealers who set up in local communities, and they now extorting entrepreneurs, and it's a whole system designed to reinforce.
That's how America was during the 1920s with alcohol, but it was white people, Irish people, and Italian. America has always been that way, and the model that the whites use in South Africa or that the cartels or international, whoever's behind all of this. This is a world movement, and wherever you go in the world, you can see the structures. Drugs is part of. To me, it's actually a part of the formal economy. The politicians try to pretend like it, and I know exactly what you mean. Like when I lived in Cape Town, I knew so many guys that will go to. You'll go to at night in Cape Town when you're hanging around Observatory. There were big buildings where they were making meth. They're making it. They're making meth. 24/7. 24/7.
This is real. This is real.
And I was joking to my son. I was like, if I want to become a drug dealer, I can't because I'm not part of the chain of supply. You have to find a way to get in. You can't just say, oh, where will you find it? If I go and buy it from somebody and try to sell it, I'll be killed within 2 minutes because I'm not part of. But if you look at the way the West works with business, it's the same thing. All of these wars where they go to war with Congo and stuff, it's actually the same violence that you see at the drug level. So even organized businesses are also criminal entities as far as I'm concerned. Although I'm going off topic. What are your thoughts fellow? So I'm here with Fellow Blues and with VOA Joke. I finally said everything without stumbling, even though I've had my first beer. It's 7 in the morning.
I'm having mine later on.
Jack Daniels, Coca-Cola.
Ooh, nice.
That's actually my morning. You know how some people drink coffee or wake and bake? My own is wake and whiskey. Yeah.
That's your wake and bake?
That's my wake and bake. All right, so what are you talking?
Crashing by midday.
Yeah, you're right. I usually do crash midday. It's a terrible cycle. Okay, actually, but for me, crash means I feel a little bit lethargic. But it's a vicious cycle because whiskey gives you a boost. So then I'll take something sweet with whiskey again. But it's crazy. Anyway, that's a story for another day, though. Some people may be watching. All right. So yeah, what were you thinking? What we were talking about just now, fellow blues. Yeah, we're talking about this drug thing and how we see it. Yeah.
Obviously, the cartels are like the same people. They all from like South America, we could say.
Yeah. Those South Americans have power because they are the start of the distribution chain. So now they're bullying Americans. Yeah. They go into neighborhoods, and even the police are scared of them. That's how much power they have.
It's just trying to be part of like the value chain, the economy of it. So they will involve themselves everywhere where it seems to be working.
Yeah.
So
and there's something that happened a couple of years ago. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. I noticed that South Africa is becoming like America. Like I've told you like a few years
also
ago.
Nigeria, they're following the same bullshit. Go ahead. Yeah.
We're like 10 years behind, but the way we're catching up, it's like we're catching up quicker. It's like we almost 5-10 years behind you guys.
Yeah.
Obviously, using different drugs. You guys were introduced to like Oxycontin and heroin. And what we got here was like cat and nyao, and
Menrex. I would never touch. And once you touch that shit, you're dead, man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And once you touch that shit, you are addicted for life.
Yeah. It's not good at all.
And another drug that's like controlling and ruling around here.
What happened to good old cat and cocaine?
Hey, bro. It's still there. It's still there. It's just
I know.
They market it like some kind of luxury drug besides. So
you get it around
inaccessible.
Yeah, you get it around Bomasentin, Randbeck.
Yeah.
How much is it? Is it 150 for a bag? When I was there, it was 150. It was like 300 now.
It's cheaper. It's cheaper.
It's cheaper. Man, that shit is terrible because trust me, I've been through those things. I was with a friend who was from the US, and by the time that shit was done with us, we only had a mattress in our room. I'm not lying. And we were laughing. The guy was laughing. I told the guy, I said, "Why are you laughing?" He said, "Because if I don't laugh, I'll cry." The point I'm making is that you can recover from those drugs because those drugs are psychological, but you can recover from them.
Yeah.
But you can't recover from
what you get.
Yeah.
What you get mostly in the hood is like nyaupe and like crystal meth.
And meth is not good. If you can get like in Hawaii or in Japan, they have clear meth. But by the time I'm not gonna say the color guys, but by the time the 27s put whatever they put in that shit.
Yo, Mustafa, are you familiar with the South African term ipara?
No, what is that? Yeah, I don't think I've heard that one.
Yeah,
I think he knows.
Exactly. I know fellow knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, straight up, straight up. It's and how it's related to drugs because
oh yeah, we call them trap houses here or something like that.
Yo,
right, yeah. So ipara is like the slang term, you know, for the cats in the corner who most of them are either doing mandrax or crystal meth. And,
oh yeah, I've seen it. You know, I saw it. Bridgetown in Joburg. I used to Bridgetown in northern Georgia.
Do you remember that video you showed me of Philadelphia and people in the streets?
Yeah, riding horses. It's the same everywhere. They have that in Joburg too.
Those are
riding horses, picking up trash. That's the same thing. Yeah, and that they have that. If you saw it, they have it on the movie The Wire when Dookie, the black kid, who when Michael leaves because Michael was almost killed by the mafia. So Dookie now moves with those power people, like you said, and during the day they pick up tin and foil and stuff, and they ride horses. It's the same thing. They have that in Baltimore, in America.
It's the same thing everywhere.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying you have to realize that. I always tell people Trump is not dumb. And American politicians are not dumb. They're not even hypocritical. They're just strategic, and they have a model, and they stick to it strictly. Same thing when I was in South Africa, whether I went to Vosloorus or to Daveyton or whatever, even the setup of the locations, each one had the same type of setup. You get my point? And I remember I used to work in Daveyton, in the morning, you go and get I used to go get Russians, where you know that sausage or whatever, and the buns. Every location has an area where there's a line.
On a different topic.
A tent for churches and things. Go ahead. This is a good show. I like the flow. Go ahead.
On a different topic, there was a trend of Russian people mad at South African people saying they eat Russians.
Oh yeah, that was I used to eat Russians every morning. And what is it? Acha.
Yeah. You know. So yeah, you were saying.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna move.